What can I do when I'm stuck inside you? This cell of ice and fire, what blood red death, lost and desire, smell of life.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Live and direct, Rick Paulton, Brian Inman, and pinch hitting for our guest this week, we got Kevin Vanhentenryck.
Yeah,
Did
all
I get it right?
Yes,
Oh, man, I'm
yes.
sitting here dreading. I'm like, I know I'm going to say this wrong. I'm saying it in my head. Vanhentenryck. All right, from the Basketcase films. Awesome of you to come on such short notice. We really appreciate it. Our guest this week was supposed to be, it's a surprise for Ryan, so I'm not even going to say who it is yet, but he's probably figured it out. Everybody else probably has.
Everyone knows.
We'll be on next week. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Basketcase, a really cool series of movies. There's 3 of them that are free on Tubi. Tubi needs to pay me. Free on Tubi. If you guys haven't seen them, you got to check these out. These are crazy, crazy movies.
Thank you.
Let's see, we got Bill Wolf here, Karen here. How you guys doing? All right. All right, man. So we're just gonna jump right into this. So you grew up in Michigan, I hear.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep.
We're not gonna hold that against you in Ohio here. We're gonna
What's
let
the
you
matter
know.
with Michigan?
Nothing.
So, when did you decide that you wanted to be an actor and get into movies?
So I think it was about 10th grade. I was falling asleep in a history class. And as the class ended, this girl I had a crush on, her name was Cindy, was talking with the teacher at the door as she was leaving. And they were talking about the plays, asking her how the play was going. So I thought, I'll get myself into the plays and I can get to know Cindy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Unfortunately, it turned out that was Cindy's last play, but it was my first, and it took.
There you go. That's pretty cool. So we know you from these horror films that we're going to get into a little bit later, Basketcase. But did you always have a thing for horror, or when did you first get into horror?
Well, with Basketcase, my genre is really more science fiction.
Science fiction, right on.
But Ilsa, who plays the social worker with the glasses in the film, was the assistant registrar at the school that I was going to, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And she said, I know this guy that makes films. You should meet him. So I did. And he put me in, has 3 extra parts in the film previous to Basketcase called Slash of the Knife. He liked the way I worked. I was always on his case to use student actors. You know, we need the help. We could use the experience. And several months later, he called me up with this idea for a film. And was I interested? I said, of course. And so he essentially performed the film on the phone, the whole film, start to finish, with camera shots and effects and everything. And when Frank does a pitch, he does it all out. And after he was done, he said, what do you think? Are you interested? And of course, I had to say, absolutely, sign me up.
So he basically storyboarded the whole thing over the phone?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
That's wild.
Now, there's a few things that we had to let go. When we got the effects, we realized we weren't going to be able to show Belial running through the streets, and that was a bummer for Frank for a long time, because we took a long time to make it. And at one point, he calls me up and he says, "I have an idea for that scene," and even though running sans clothing through the streets of New York in February would not be my first choice, it's a really elegant solution to that problem, because they feel that they're one who's been cut in half. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So where was I going to go? So you filmed Basketcase in New York City on a very limited budget, right?
Yeah.
So you guys did a lot of guerrilla style filming, from what I understand, like ask for forgiveness, not permission, kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, the Statue of Liberty shot, for example, what I was told, and this is just what Frank said. I don't know if this is true. He said that as long as you don't use a tripod, we didn't need a permit. But we just shot one take and run. So that's what we did.
Right on.
I couldn't say if he was being 100% truthful with me, but
as long as you don't. Yeah, as long as you don't use a tripod and get the hell out of Dodge immediately. Right?
Yep. On the next ferry. Yeah.
Yeah, the tripod would draw attention to you. I'm certain that was probably the real reason for the not using the tripod. So, and you also did the movie Brain Damage. I have not seen that, but I was about to watch it. But you play Man with Basket. So, are you playing Duane in that movie as well?
Yeah. Frank had the idea long before Marvel of a universe.
Yeah.
And his idea was that the two casts would cross.
Mm-hmm.
So Rick and his buddy would have appeared in Basketcase 2. The problem was that the SAG, the Screen Actors Guild rules at the time anyways, said that once you start an actor, you have to pay them consecutively until they're wrapped. So we could only do half of the cross. But would have been cool, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, and I noticed in Frankenhooker, your neighbor was in that movie as the same character. Your neighbor from Basketcase, whose name escapes me. I think she was also a hooker.
Beverly Bonner.
Yeah, Beverly Bonner. Yeah,
she plays Casey.
She was in both movies as the same character. That's pretty cool. What's up, JP? JP Cross in the house. We had to call an audible, and Kevin was nice enough to help us with that. We're going to be talking Basketcase tonight. I'm sure you're familiar. He loves crazy weird movies.
JP seems like he would be a big fan of Basketcase.
Big fan of Basketcase, I'm sure. So, in my opinion, I think the first movie was easily the best film of the three. But you guys seem to have gotten better with the effects and the animatronics and in the second and third movie, which, I think if you'd had some of that with, like you were saying, like they couldn't make Bilal run, but they were able to make him move a lot better in 2 and 3. Had they been able to do that in 1, I think it would have been it would have been a lot better, but it's still definitely the best story of the 3, because the 2 gets bonkers and then 3 is, wow, bonkers.
Well, thank you. The interesting thing about the first film is because we had no money, Frank would say, well, we're going to do such and such a scene this weekend, right? We have enough film for one take. So we're going to rehearse the crap out of it until everything is right. Sound, movement, lights, everything. And then whatever you do on that take, that's what ends up in the film. Now, being a theater actor, we call that rehearsal, and we like that.
Yeah. So
it actually worked for me personally to my advantage to work like that. The second and the third film, we had, a traditional low budget. So we were able to do things on a little more ambitious scale. But yeah, also in part, we spent a year making Basketcase, working in the evenings or on weekends whenever they had enough money for a film.
Mm-hmm.
They were buying short ends because this was on film. It was shot on 16 and blown up to 35. So whenever they had money, we would do a scene or two.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of it became like a theater company. Everybody knew each other, and Edgar would say, we need this, that, or the next thing, and we'd pile in his van and drive around the East Village looking for a toilet or a door, whatever.
Yeah, I seen you guys garbage picked a lot of the props, whatever you could get done. Yeah, the short ends on the films. That's if I remember right, that was a thing they did in Texas Chainsaw too, because they didn't have money and they were just trying to make whatever work.
Probably, yeah. For example, if you look at Duane's room and Casey's room are the same room, just redecorated.
Yeah.
And in the corner between the room and the bathroom, there's a pipe like going from the floor to ceiling.
Yes.
That's the cardboard tube from the center of a bolt of cloth that we got in the garment district, you know.
You guys made it work, that's for sure, man.
Low budget.
See, that's the thing when you're making a film or just anything, any kind of project. When you're young and have no money, it's an adventure. When you're older and try to do it with no money, it really sucks.
It is, because it's a lot stressful, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's all different with digital now. Everything is different.
That's true. You can make films for so much less money now.
Editing actual film is a real tedious drag.
Yeah. So Bilal's face was a mold of your face, is what I read.
Yep.
So you guys were actually twins.
Well, they're meant to be Siamese twins. So they And the whole idea is they believed that they were one individual who had been cut in half, and so that helps reinforce that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what was that process like, getting the mold of your face? I have some friends that are into they're like in metal bands, and they wear masks on stage, and they have to go through this whole deal of the mold of the face, and oh man, it just looks like something I would not want any part of.
Well, if you're claustrophobic, it could be a real drag, because you're completely covered with like straws coming out of your nose to breathe through. So you have to really be calm and relaxed and trust the guys doing the work.
Right, I can imagine. That's got to be really stressful. So,
I'd imagine too, with a low budget, that would, just any kind of work like that would be a nice chunk of it.
Yeah.
Would be what? I'm sorry?
A nice chunk of some budget, just getting work like that done.
Yeah, that is the thing. These materials are not cheap. The latex and molding and all that stuff. Just like film, But by the same token, a good microphone is not cheap either.
Right.
These are the tools that we use to do this.
Well, my microphones aren't good. I'm going to step my game up and get a good one soon. These are like random eBay buys for like $10 a piece, but they sound like it too. See, Ryan has a good one, but his isn't hooked up. So Ryan was a singer in a band before, so he has good ones.
Oh, nice.
So, do you speaking of Bilal, do any of those puppets still exist?
No.
No, not a one of them. Oh.
The thing with latex is it's not a permanent material. The ultraviolet kills it, the moisture in the air and in people's hands kills it. Frank has probably the last surviving Bilal from the first film in his apartment, and it's been sitting on a table in the corner for decades now. And what's happened, it's kind of like melted down onto the table. So it can't be moved or handled or anything.
Well, that one was like foam though, wasn't it?
Foam with latex
latex coating. Okay.
Yeah, for the detail.
Yeah, I go on Etsy a lot, and I'm trying to find somebody that makes them, because I'd really like to have a basket with Bilal in it, like for my collection right here. But
there's a few guys out there that do that. I don't know offhand their names, but I've been to a few shows where people had them. I was just at Spooky Empire in Orlando, which is a great show, by the way.
Right.
And there was a guy there, John, had one and a basket and was dressed up as Duane. It was very cool.
Did he have the awesome hair that you have, though?
Yes, he did. He did. It was a wig, his hair is short.
But yours definitely was not. It's like, dude, you got to have like one of the best heads of hair ever, man. Like,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
We're all subject to the genetic roll of the dice, right?
Well, you landed that one, that's for sure. So I read that they were going to give this film an X rating.
Yes, the
It had to
rating.
be released non-rated. I didn't think it was that.
Well, it's
Crazy.
1982 for one.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the original. The original version of the film was terribly cut. Frank was horrified, and it was not doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Bob Briggs, who had a drive-in movie show,
Yeah.
wanted to show it, but would not show the cut version.
Yeah.
So Frank snuck him an uncut version, which he played, and suddenly people were interested. And so, realizing their mistake, the distributor just, without any fanfare advertisement, just started slowly replacing the uncut version with the cut version, and suddenly it took off. So thank you, Joe Bob.
Nice. That's a good fact. Yeah, I've never seen the cut version. The only one I've seen is the uncut version because, like I was telling you before we went on, I was watching the Dolls of Horror, who are now on the Bloody Essentials podcast. Two of the three girls are, and I was telling them like I got into this film and this series of films because of them reviewing it, and so when I went to find them, the uncut version didn't exist, so I have no idea what that's even like. Don't think I want to know either. But I didn't think it was. I mean, there's a lot of blood in it, But I mean, if well, then again, there's not a lot of blood in Texas. I was going to say if Texas Chainsaw didn't get an X, but there's not a lot of blood in Texas Chainsaw. But these are films like my kids watch pretty much any horror movies for the most part. But I could see kids watching this and being fine. I didn't, what?
Well, yeah, it's tamed by today's standards.
Yeah, I think so. They're fun.
When we take care of Needleman, we had pizza for dinner that night, and so when you see the torso on one side and the legs are over there, that's like crunched up pizza and fake blood that you're looking at.
I love just using whatever you got available to make things happen, man. That's just awesome. And the effects were really good. And then like again, in 2 and 3 they got a little crazier. In 2 and 3, like did it take like forever to get these guys? Like, because you have, instead of just Bilal, there's 50 of these creatures. Did it take forever to get them ready to go for the scene? Like, I mean, Robert Englund takes like 8 hours to get into makeup. Mm-hmm. Did you have to have like a whole team of guys working on these guys?
Frank Henenlotter and Gabe Bartelos are out of their minds because they did Basketcase 2 and Frankenhooker back to back. There's, I don't know, how many effects, hundreds of effects, right? And yes, so in Basketcase 2, each freak, unique individual, sorry.
Right, I was going to say, you don't want to.
Each unique individual had a wrangler. So between takes, they had hair dryers set on a cool setting that they could blow in there so they wouldn't die, and they would feed like straws through wherever they could so they could have a drink of water or Gatorade or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch that many effects being attempted at the same time. It's really astounding. Gabe Bartelos, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good stuff. Like, I think 2 and 3. Like, have you ever seen the Garbage Pail Kids movie? It's a lot like that. Don't see it. Don't see it. That wasn't a cue to see it. It's bad. I was going to say these are like a good version of that. It's bad.
Right. Okay.
It's rated one of the worst movies of all time. But there's a lot of the creatures kind of look similar, and like the zaniness and the insanity. But they're just not good movies. It's just not a good movie. But your films are a good version of it.
The original concept that Frank had was that the unique individuals in Basketcase 2 would be real plausible deformities, like in the 1930 film Freaks.
Okay.
And I thought, when I heard this, that combined with Frank's sense of humor would be truly disturbing. The producers, however, who had the money, were completely freaked by that, and they just couldn't even get close to that. So what we ended up with is what you see, which is a passable metaphor for the whole thing. But the on-site suits run the thing,
Yeah. So, which one of those characters was your favorite of those unique individuals?
You mean other than Belial?
Of course. Yeah, Belial's a star.
Geez, I was kind of fond of the guy with the metal plate on his head. I think that would be my favorite.
I like the frog guy the best. That was my
favorite. Yeah. And then there's the opera singer too. That was pretty cool. But in Basketcase too, I got to work with the legendary Annie Ross. Annie Ross comes from Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross, a jazz group from that era, the 50s, 60s. And she was amazing to work with and very cool and a lot of fun, and is Granny Ruth.
Yeah, she was absolutely insane. When she's what was she singing on the bus? You got everybody singing. Oh my God, this is like one of the. I posted it on Facebook earlier. What song were they singing? Personality.
And when
that was amazing.
When they were looking for a song, they approached the guy that wrote Personality. I don't recall his name, but when he found out it would be Annie Ross singing it, he gave it to him for $1.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I heard that before. I think I heard that on the Bloody Essentials Girls podcast. Let's see if I can figure out who that is real quick. But not really relevant. But Lloyd Price? No, that can't be right.
I don't know.
Maybe Johnny Mercer? There's a couple different ones in here, but most of them say Lloyd Price. But that looks too old. That looks from the 50s.
Yeah, that's a Frank question.
That's not it. No. Oh, no. Yeah, it is it. That's the song. Yeah. Lloyd Price was the singer of that. But no, it's a great scene, and I posted it on the podcast page. So if you guys haven't seen this movie, watch that, and then watch the first one, because you want to watch the first one first, and then the next two. And I promise you're gonna love them if you haven't seen them. So, was this always planned to be a trilogy?
No.
Always planned to be.
As a matter of fact, for years, Frank said, "How can we do a sequel? They're dead." So, but
spoiler alert.
People would say, "Well, there's a fourth Doctor or a third twin," and Frank said no. So when he was pitching Frankenhooker to Jim Glickenhaus, as I said, when he does a pitch, he goes all out. He performs it, and so he finished with the Frankenhooker pitch and was exhausted. And Jim said, "That's fantastic. We'll do it. What else have you got?" And apparently Frank just blurted out Basketcase 2. Jim was delighted, said, "We'll go for it." Yes.
Right on. Yeah. In horror movies, you're never really dead.
No.
So it could definitely bring you back. I mean, we're big Friday the 13th guys. Jason's been killed 13 times, 11 times, something like that, right?
Technically 0 times.
Right on. So what scene in the films, out of all 3 films, do you think was the most absurd, crazy scene, and maybe the favorite scene that was in the films?
My favorite is working with Terry Susan Smith, who's now Ahu Smith, where we start to get acquainted, and Belial has a fit, and I cover her with a blanket and throw her out into the hall. She's just wonderful to work with, and that was a fun scene to do.
Right on. Yeah, I think for me the craziest scene obviously is the Belial's. Well, there's two. Belial and his girlfriend making their babies was ridiculous. Ridiculous. Hold up that picture of Belial that you have that you brought up a couple times.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So for those of you that haven't seen it, this is Belial. This is his twin in the films. So there's another creature that's very similar to that, and they have a sex scene. And it is as ridiculous as it sounds.
I'm told that's the first sex scene between monsters in film.
It might be. It probably is. So then one of they get pregnant, and in the third movie, they have the babies, and there's 12 of them. Yeah, right. An even dozen. One of them dies, and there's an even dozen of these babies that are just popping up all over the place. So, did you ever talk about doing a fourth film and see what happens to all these creatures later on?
All the time, in fact, because think about it: 11 of the babies survived that night at the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
They would be in their mid-20s now, so there's grand baby Belials. Duane and Belial have settled into a tiny little mountain town, completely unaware of a military spill that happened 2 decades ago.
Nice.
And produced its own crop of twins. And all of these twins are about to.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that sounds pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get that made. You know, with GoFundMe and Indiegogo and all that, it wouldn't be hard to raise the money. And all the fans of this film, it really wouldn't be hard to raise the money to get even a decent budget. Because we have a lot of friends that do indie films, and they use the GoFundMe and all that to raise the money for them. And 30,000, 40,000, 100,000. What did Vincent raise for Never Hike Alone, the new one? It was a few $100,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so it's not hard to raise these monies.
No, and he can do a lot with he
can do a lot with he's really good.
Yeah.
I've been thinking lately, I've worked on a treatment for it for on and off for years. And I've been thinking lately that maybe the first approach would be a graphic novel of what the film would be.
Yeah, that would help you raise the funds. That's what Ken Sagos is doing for his film. He's got a film about this evil parrot that it's pretty crazy. What's it called? Socrates. And he wrote a comic book. It's a really good comic book. I told him, you need to maybe do an ongoing series of this and get it into comic shops. But he's selling those for, I think, $25, and he signs it. And he's using that money to raise, for his film. And so a graphic novel would be a great idea for sure.
Very cool. It's a very cool original idea he has for that too.
Mm-hmm. So I seen when I was going through your credits to try to find some other stuff to talk about besides Basketcase. I seen that the Catskill Chainsaw Redemption. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So this was two guys who were writers for the John Daly Show back in the day. And it's a comedy takeoff on Texas Chainsaw. And I play the chainsaw guy, and who undergoes a transformation.
Yes. I found it on YouTube. I watched it before we went on. I really liked it. I'm a giant Texas Chainsaw fan. It's my second favorite franchise after Friday the 13th. And we've had 4 or 5 people from that franchise on. So I watched it before we went on. I shared it on my page, so hopefully people will check it out. But it's fun. It's definitely fun.
I didn't get a chance to look at that yet, but
I just put it on right before we went on, so you didn't see it, but it's pretty cool. It's 16 minutes long, 16 minutes, so it's quick.
I'll watch it
really
tonight.
good. You did a good job playing Leatherface, that's for sure. I really liked it.
Thank you. Yeah, I met
really
Gunnar
liked the
one time.
mask.
I met Gunnar one time at Chiller.
Okay.
This was after we had done the Catskill Chainsaw Redemption. So I got him to autograph a figure of him, chainsaw and all that. And I told him about it. You know, he seemed vaguely interested. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to
imagine another Psycho fan, you know.
If you want to get technical now, you're like the fourth Leatherface we've had on this show.
Yeah.
Really? Well, thank you.
Yeah, but I really like the mask. I like the different take on it with the leather sewed up like that. It looked really cool. But it's not a serious movie. It's tongue in cheek and it's really fun and funny and he starts it. He's going after, for those of you that haven't seen, I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but he goes after these two couples having a picnic, and he starts with the chainsaw, goes to chase after him. The chainsaw stalls. So he keeps trying to, and he can't, and then he's just like, again, he ran out of gas. Yeah, that's right. Because he eventually goes and gets gas. And it just, from there, you just know it's going to be fun. And it was. And if you guys haven't seen it, check it. There's a link to it on my page. And check that out.
There's an interesting story about that. I had seen an advertisement for actors in the Woodstock Times. So, you know, I called up and I went, and they had this really cool chainsaw from the 50s. It was really heavy, really awkward tool to use, but it was cool and appropriate for the film, right? And they asked me to start it. How, you know, if it were my saw, how would I start it? And I do my own firewood, so I you know, you drop it and you pull the thing, right? And when I did this, all of the people that I was auditioning for went. So apparently I was the first one to audition who actually knew how to use the chainsaw, and that's how I got started.
Right on. Yeah, no, it was really, really good. Really good. So you looked a little bit bigger in that, though, man. Did you have to put on some weight?
Well, they patted me out. Yeah, I had to wear pads and everything.
Because I wasn't sure if this was like, you know, like, because IMDb, people could put anything on there, you know? And I'm like, I hope this is actually him, because this looks a little too big to be Kevin. You know, have this whole conversation about something. Like IMDb, we had Robert Kurtzman on. You know who Robert Kurtzman is, right? KMB. And there was something he was credited for, and I brought it up, and I didn't do that. I was just like, oops.
Whoa.
So IMDb is a good tool sometimes, but anybody can edit it, and sometimes it ain't the right thing, you know?
Yeah, it's like the one main specific thing that I wanted to ask him about too is the thing he didn't do. I was like,
oh no.
That's why I brought it up, because he wasn't on the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, my co-host wanted to ask you about this. And he's like, yeah, I didn't do that.
The motorcycle kill from Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Right at the beginning. So amazing.
But it was credited for it, but it wasn't
didn't do
him.
that one.
Probably somebody else in KMB did it.
So good, though. Whoever did that. I'd like to find out.
So, I hear that you're an artist as well, like a sculptor. Let's see. Before we go, though, I got a couple comments here. We got JP says he'll be looking up your film. And then, KevinVanH.com. And Basketcase, a staple of 80s horror. Absolutely. Zigzag from Death Curse Society chiming in there.
Yes. So I've been a stone carver. Actually, I had given up acting in favor of my sculpture before Frank called me with the idea for the film.
Oh, okay.
Of course, it was too good of a part to pass up. You know, for an actor to play both parts, both halves of a Siamese twins, that's gold. But every year in the mountaintop region of the Catskill Mountains, we do a free stone carving class. The website for that is freehscs.com. Stands for Free Hunter Stone Carving Seminar.com. And that's coming up August 12th through the 24th. And that's been my primary focus since before Basketcase. So if they check out the website.
So how did you?
Oops.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah, your website says kevinvanh.com. Yep.
If you go on there, there's some of my work is on there. Enough of it so people will get the idea of what I do.
Well, I have some pictures of the biggest piece. Let me put this up here real quick.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah, thank you. The Rip Van Winkle. That is at the summit of Hunter Mountain. It's bluestone. It was carved out of an 8-ton block of local bluestone.
Okay, so it was 8 tons. I was telling Ryan before we went on, I said, I don't know if it was 8,000 pounds or 8 tons, but either way, it's a giant freaking stone.
Yeah, 8 tons, so 16,000 pounds.
Yeah.
He would be life size, so he would be 6 feet tall if he stood up. It's based on my frame.
Yeah.
How
long did that take to carve out?
Well, the originally, it's at the summit of Hunter Mountain, which is a local ski area, and they have these summer music festivals, all kinds of music from country western to oompa bands and everything. And in '95, when we started that, the festival program was 40 some days long. It was all summer. By the time we finished in 2009, 14 years later, the festival season was down to 10 days. And you don't get a lot done carving stone in 10 days. So that really stretched out the process. But the commission was designed so that people coming to the music festival, all of them throughout the summer, could watch us carve. So we only carved during the music festival. So that's what caused it. Originally, it would have been about 5 or 6 years, I think, carving only in the summer.
Right on.
That's incredible, though. Whenever I see something like that, people don't even understand just the painstaking work that goes into something like that.
Yeah, that's insane.
Thank you. What I find interesting about stone, our species responds to what I call presence. So something that's plastic, has a cheap, temporary, man-made presence. Something like the metal in your automobile or your truck, that's a little more substantial, but it's still cold and man-made. Stone, even a young stone like bluestone, which is what Rip is made out of, is 360 million years old. And it's produced by this diabolical heat and pressure over hundreds of thousands of years. That's how it's produced. And that's what gives it its presence. Everybody, if you walk on the beach, you see an interesting rock, you pick it up. Yeah. Is it because of the color? Is it because of the shape? Or is it because of the presence about how it was created?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't think about that, but any rock you pick up, just imagine the journey it's gone on to make it to your hands.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that rock you pick up on the beach will be around thousands and thousands of years from now. Long after we are all forgotten about, these objects will remain.
Yep.
I mean, with all of our industry and technology, still to this day, here in the beginning of the 21st century, if you want something to last, you put it in stone.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just an expression. You literally do it.
Yes.
But definitely check out Kevin's website. Now, one more time, what was it? KevinVanH.com?
Oh,
He's got it. KevinVanH.com. There we go. And they have some other pictures of some more beautiful works that he had. I was trying to get the one of the woman on horseback.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason I couldn't get that picture to go onto StreamYard. So I couldn't show it to anybody. But I'll try to post it on our page later. But definitely check that out. He has a lot of work that he works on with that. And so let's see. I think that wraps up all of our questions here.
I got a couple.
You got a couple? Okay, Ryan's got a couple. There we go. Do
you have any convention appearances coming up?
Well, that's going to be the next question, Ryan.
I do. It's I don't know the name of the show though. Gregory Lamberson, who some of you may know, an excellent filmmaker, is doing a show in upstate New York. Man, I think it's September. Give me a minute, I can tell you exactly.
We're getting that convention season hot now. It's summertime coming up.
Yeah, the 13th, 14th, and 15th of September.
Would that be Amazing Fantasy Fest?
Is that in Buffalo, in or near Buffalo?
It is Buffalo Niagara Film Commission.
That's probably it. The legendary Gregory Lamberson, and that should be a really great show. So any fans that are in that area, stop by and say hello. You know,
that's not too terribly far from our neck of the woods either.
Yeah,
excellent. Yeah,
but I think that weekend we're going to be in Kentucky.
Yes,
you know, I don't do a lot of the conventions because traveling is not cool anymore, for one thing.
Right.
And I don't want it to become like a job.
Well, yeah. I can understand that.
It's fun, you know. I meet people that weren't even born yet when this film was made, and they're diehard Basketcase fans. It's just amazing.
Well, it's got a great cult following, man.
We were both born by then, but barely.
Yeah. We were born at 79 and 80, respectively, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is that right? 80? Yeah. So, yeah, we were born, but not by much. But you know, back in those days, and I did see the. So when I was telling you that I seen the movie because of the Bloody Essential Dolls of Horror Girls, but I did see it. That wasn't the first time I seen it. I seen it as a kid.
Same.
But I didn't remember it. But I sort of remembered it, you know. But we used to go to the mom and pop video store. And you'd rent all these obscure movies, and that was one of them. But I didn't really remember it till I was 4 years old. 3-4 years old.
I remember
seeing it, but I don't really remember it. But then I seen it again, and I'm like, some things started coming back, but I had never seen 2 or 3.
I was probably 6 or 7, and the first thing I did, I'd go into that local video store, go right to the horror section. Creature features, all of it, man. I wanted
all that stuff. They had like ours had like little tokens, and that's how you would know the movie was in. You would take the little token up and you give it to the person, and then they give you the movie.
Yep. I remember those.
Rebecca says my 3-year-old thinks she's Chucky. Yeah, I got a couple of kids that are kind of sort of like that. Glenn, what is he saying here? Let's see. Zigzag says, I rented it. Big screen with Q&A, hint, hint. He's like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool if we could get something like that together with a couple of the people that from the film to do Cinema Wasteland probably would do something like that. They don't really got a big screen though, but I know people in Cleveland that own theaters and have theaters, and I could get something together tied in with Cinema Wasteland, or maybe something like that. But
we've had some thoughts about we've had some ideas like that. You have. I've had other ones too, even just on the show, doing like a live commentary track with people from films.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Doing live commentary together. I think something like that would be pretty cool. I've actually never seen that done.
Well, Ken from Cinema Wasteland is a really cool guy, so he would be someone really good to approach with something like that.
Right, and they screen movies there, but the biggest screen that they could have is nowhere near what we could have in a theater. And I know some people that own some local theaters, and like I could get it. I know I could do that. This movie deserves to be celebrated. Absolutely, absolutely.
Well,
it's so much better than your average cheesy B horror movie. I mean, you guys had some pretty good acting in it.
See, the thing. What I think a lot of modern film misses is that at the very bottom line, you're telling a story. So you have to have a really good story. a story that matters, a story that has an arc and a meaning and an effect on people. And we were able to stumble on kind of an archetype, because we all have that shadow, that dark half that we carry around. And we all feel like misfits once in a while, don't we?
Yeah, there was definitely some deep undertones in the movie, like what you just described, and then just how some people could be treated certain ways just because they're different, and how they're outcasts, and how that that kind of thing. But then at the base of it, though, if you weren't looking for these deeper undertones, it was just a fun movie.
Sure.
So you got no matter who was watching it, you'd get something out of it. And I think your character was like the normal guy around all the craziness, but you had a slow downward spiral between the three movies. Especially at the end of the second one, beginning of the third one. I mean, you're bonkers. But then you come to accept who you are and what you are by the end of the third movie.
And that's that's a very relatable thing too for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Everybody can find something in this film, in these series of films, that they can relate to and that they can be like.
Yeah.
And they can be like, oh yeah, I get what they're going for. And maybe they are going for it, maybe they're not going for it, but you'll get it,
Well, they had a story to tell, and they did. And like you said, that's the difference. Like a bad movie, like you mentioned, that Garbage Pail Kids movie is a bad movie, because that movie, if you threw a copy of that movie into a cemetery, you still couldn't find a plot.
Yeah, and I only brought up that movie just because it had a similar look, sort of, to your film. Your films were much better. This is just, that's the only reason I brought it up. Like, not because it was a good movie. Yeah, definitely don't watch it. Don't just seek it out. But so we're gonna wrap this up. And again, I want to thank you so much for pinch hitting tonight. Go ahead.
I have one more thing I wanted to say. I'm selling 3 of my guitars. I don't know if anyone in your audience is interested. It's a 90 Gibson reverse Firebird in white, a 64 Fender Electric 12, and a 75 Guild F412, which is an acoustic 12 string. So if there are any serious musicians in your...
I do know a lot.
We do know.
I have a lot. I do know a lot. So if you could message me later those guitars again, because I'm not going to remember it.
Yeah,
I'll remember that.
I'll check that out for you. And then if you got a ballpark what you're looking for, put that in the message too. But that brings up something else though. If you're selling guitars, you must be a musician.
Yes.
See, I did not know that.
Oh, I did a thing. There was a show in Pennsylvania called Pop Rock Convention. And it was the first one, and Felicia Rose Esposito was there.
Love her.
And he wanted me to play, so I brought my guitar and my amp. And Felicia and I'm blanking out on people's names right now, but a couple of her friends got up. I taught them the chorus of the song, and we performed it. There's stuff I'm told on video on YouTube and stuff of that.
Look at that.
She's a good singer.
Cool. Yeah, she's awesome. She's just so outgoing, so like larger than life, and just awesome. Like when I met her, my daughter, who's 11, seen Sleepaway Camp for the first time. I think she was 7 or 8 when she seen it. And 2 minutes into the movie, not even, she knew the twist at the end of the movie. She's like, Dad, that is the boy. The girl died. And I'm like, how do you even know that? So we told that story to Felissa, and she was just like, yeah, really? How did you know that? But swear. So yeah, she's real. My daughter is just so smart for her own good.
Yeah.
She likes horror movies, but mostly she likes like classic movies. She likes Hitchcock. I mean, because of course, what 8-year-old doesn't like Hitchcock, right? She's weird.
Make sure she sees some early Ingmar Bergman films. Like
yes, we're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that. 'Cause I know Ryan's into that kind of stuff.
All
so
that
we'll get
stuff.
that stuff.
I collect all the Criterion Blu-rays. That's my thing.
Excellent. Yeah,
that's my thing. I love my horror, but I love my serious stuff too. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Ryan's more artistic than he's into the artsier stuff.
Very cool, man.
Thank you.
Right on. So I'm gonna get you out of here, and again, I want to thank you so much for coming on with such short notice. Like I said, I've been wanting to book you on here for a while, and just the stars lined up. Like as soon as our guest was canceling, Kevin's messaging me back. Yeah, sure, I'd love to be on the show. I'm like, this is so good. This is awesome. Now we'll have a guest for tonight. So thank you so much, man. And we're gonna get you out of here. And after we get Kevin out of here, we're gonna talk about the film that we were gonna talk about for a couple minutes, and then we're gonna get out of here. So, but thanks a lot, Kevin, man. Send me those guitars, the names of them and everything, and I will do my best to help you out with that. All right. Thank you, brother. Have a great day, my friend.
There we go.
All righty then. That was pretty freaking cool, man. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
I wish that I would have had more time than my work was so busy today to be able to research and get better questions. I hope I did okay. Like I said, I'm big fans of the film, big fan of Kevin in those films. And if you guys haven't seen them, check them out on Tubi, Basketcase 1, 2, and 3. I promise you'll love them. Definitely good stuff.
Yeah.
So our plan this week was to talk about In a Violent Nature.
Yes.
And we both went and seen it last week. I don't know if anybody in the comments got to see it. I know Zig's seen it. This was a different one, huh?
Yes. And since we're just going to cover this briefly, this will be spoiler free.
Yeah, we're going to do our best to keep it spoiler free. I'm not, I will do my best.
Don't worry if you haven't seen it. Don't worry, we're not going to.
I'm going to talk a little bit less than I normally would, so I don't accidentally. I'm still going to talk a lot because that's what I do, but I'm going to try to talk a little less so I don't accidentally spoil anything. But
you need one of those 7-second delay buttons like FM radio.
Yeah, right.
With Rick's mouth.
Zig says blah. So our guest this week was from the film. They going to be on next week. Hopefully, if everything lines up right. I'm going to talk to them a little bit later to make sure that we can start promoting that, and we'll see how it goes. But so what were your thoughts before you went in to see the movie? What was your idea? What did you think this was going to be like?
Okay, when I first saw the trailer, it really pulled me in because it's just like, ooh, something different, but also something obviously influenced by Friday the 13th, first and foremost. Was the big vibe I got. But I loved the difference in the third person kind of view of the killer. I thought it would be intriguing. So I was actually really looking forward to this one. And I don't get all psyched up for new horror movies like I used to. I'm just so let down all the time.
Right. I mean, it's been that way.
But I was really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, for me, what I get psyched for is when people tell me about stuff that came out in the 70s and 80s that I haven't seen. Yeah. Because it's probably going to be good. Like I'm on the Fulci kick, and so none of those are disappointed. So, but yeah, newer horror movies the same. But I seen it, and I seen the look of the guy and him creeping through the woods, and I just got, like everybody else, Friday the 13th vibes. One thing about the killer, though, I kind of wish they would have never put that mask on him.
I was just going to ask you what you thought of the look.
Oh, the look! I love it. Yeah. Minus the mask, it was just so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And a lot of the movie they had the image of him blurred, which was kind of cool. Which I mean, you could get away with more with the makeup, so you didn't have to, probably could get away with more of the makeup. You didn't have to really go through all of the painstaking applications of the makeup since you had that blurred effect. You actually did eventually get to see what he looked like, which is cool. But his whole look from the flannel to it looked perfect. I didn't really like that mask. I like the fact that the mask made sense once they talked about his origin. I still didn't like it.
So now I thought the look was okay. I don't love the mask, but I get it. And because of the lore and the backstory, it made it make sense. So I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. I just think the look without it was so much better.
Yeah. Now, I do like the lore and the story. I just don't really care for the way that we find out, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So without going into too much detail. So, because, yeah, this thing is from the killer's perspective mostly.
Yeah.
Not the whole way, you know, and that's not really a spoiler because, I mean, that's just out there.
Yeah, that's out there. One of the kind of cool things like about that is they did well was if the killer wasn't quite where he could hear the other people, you would hear it the way he would hear it, kind of muffled, and I liked that.
Yes.
Let's see. Bill says, "How did I like the Beyond?" I fell asleep when I turned it on, so I didn't get to finish it yet. And by the way, yeah, thanks. Looking forward to the Reap thing. That's definitely cool. I was on Death Curse Society on Monday, kicking ass in their trivia game. Curse Your Luck. It was awesome. And Zig says, had this been 30 minutes, we'd be throwing the word masterpiece around. And maybe.
I don't know about that, but I know that 97 minutes or whatever it was too much.
It was too much.
Yeah.
It's because there's so many parts of the movie, like, and you see it I'm not really spoiling anything, he walks a lot.
Yes. Now here's the thing. There's a lot of scenes of him walking, and that's cool and all, but if he was actually doing something, like maybe we'd see him setting up like a kill or something, or cutting a power line or something like that, like foreshadowing something that would happen later, that'd be more interesting.
Yeah, or like most killers, they sabotage the car so you can't get it. Maybe they showed him doing that. Yeah, that would definitely be a better use of your time than the just over the shoulder walking.
Right, and if we get one kind of thing like that where he set something up for like later, but other than that, it's just he's just kind of walking around. It's like, you know, give the dude a pair of binoculars, you think he's out bird watching and not a killer.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, just taking a hike through the woods, man.
Now, I must say, I'm not going to do like top 5 and bottom 5 or anything. I'll just say the thing I did like most, though, about this film was the cinematography. It was beautifully shot. It's gorgeous.
And here's another thing, like with you being the music guy in movies, with this movie not having a score, how did you like that or not like that? I mean,
I fucking hated it.
You hated it.
Yeah. And I think it took away a lot of nuance not having a score. It decreased the tension, which is already decreased anyway, because when you always know where the killer is, where's the tension?
Right. Yeah, and that was one of the problems I had with it, is there was no time to get scared. There was no tension building, and then the killer's there. Like, you always knew where he was. That's a perfect way of saying it. Yeah, but I loved and hated the no score thing. I there was times when he was walking and you could hear the birds and the rustling of the leaves, and it sounded really cool in the theater. But there was also times like we've talked about it ad nauseum about, you know, Harry Manfredini and how much he means to the Friday the 13th movies, how much he builds that emotion at any different part of the film. And we didn't have that at all. So maybe if they could have did like less of a score and just put it in different places, and maybe even strategically put it in, like there's a radio playing with the song that you want, or so, I don't know. But
I mean, we heard songs in places
for background
people listening to music, you know, but no real score at all. And I did not like that at all. And again, that's the thing too. Like I mentioned, the lack of tension might be the thing I like least, because it's just, you're basically watching you're watching Twitch is what you're watching. You're watching somebody like playing a video game, and you're watching the killer's point of view, and it's just There's one spot, and I can't say why because this is spoiler free, but there is one point in this film where I do finally feel some tension. And when you watch it, if you haven't yet, it'll make sense why. I can't say it here, but it worked. It worked, but that.
Are you talking about towards the end?
Yes, and it kind of defeats the purpose of the point. So
I loved it. A lot of people hated the end. I loved it.
I wasn't
absolutely loved
talking about the dead ending. I was talking about something else where I actually felt some tension.
I mean, not at the actual end, but towards the end. But I was just saying, like, the end in general.
Okay. Yeah. But the actual ending, and again, I won't say what it is, of course, but the ending, I actually loved it, and a lot of people hated it.
Yeah.
Like the last minute, I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was again, while I was watching this film, I went with my kids and my wife, and my kids, they went to sleep right into the movie because I wanted to see it because before I wanted to see it because I was pretty sure Death Care Society was going to talk about it on Monday, even if briefly, so I didn't want to get spoiled. And, they do a pretty good job of reviewing movies without spoiling stuff. But I also like to talk with them in the comments. Yeah. So I wanted to see it, and I knew I wouldn't have time on Sunday morning. So we went Friday night, and it was like 8:20, which is kind of late for me to go see a movie. I usually like to go in the morning.
This is right about the same time I went and saw it too.
Yeah. And I was fighting sleep the whole time. They went to sleep within seconds. I'm like, working one of them. But there was a point of the film where I literally wanted to leave.
I never got to that.
I wanted to leave. I didn't really. It's like, God, this does not make this. I mean, it made sense. It was just boring as shit. But, going through the movie, I found so much I did like about it. And each day after this movie, I'm asking myself different questions about the movie, and it's starting to mean more to me as time goes on. I mean, this is like, you hear of a slow burn. This took days.
Yeah.
But it really did start to creep up like that, and I really did start to like the movie. Yeah. I'm gonna watch it again when it comes on Shudder.
Yeah, me too.
I am going to get somebody that I know that could edit some stuff out and see if they could take out a good 20 minutes of that walking and see what kind of movie we have at that point.
There's another scene that really needed edited down too, and I won't go into too much detail, but it's
Are you talking about the kill?
One of the kills. It just takes for.
Oh, no, I know which one you're talking about. Okay, because there's the one that everybody on the internet's going crazy over. And no. I honestly, I thought that might have been a little too much too.
No,
it was done well. It looked good. The one you're talking about was just stupid.
Yeah, the one I'm not talking about, the one I loved, it's going viral already. So the yoga kill, I love that kill.
Okay. Yeah.
I love that kill. That kill, if you don't like that kill, you're just a hater. I'm sorry.
No, I don't mean I don't like it. Like, I don't like it I don't like it so much in this movie.
I love it. Just love it.
I think it would be like that's like a Terrifier kill,
It is, but it's not, because I can't say
it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite. It was sweet. I love the way they did it, and like practical effects are awesome, but it wasn't my favorite. But the one you were talking about that we're not going to talk about was definitely my least favorite, because it was just, what the fuck.
It took forever, and it
was pointless.
The only thing cool about it is once it's like said, it's one continuous camera shot. Mm-hmm. That's cool, but it just, I mean, that thing was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And not a lot happens.
Yeah.
And the way it ends is so predictable.
Yeah.
So
do you, before we went on, you said you were going to do a bottom three and a top three. I mean, probably already went over them, but do you want to do it again?
I'll just do, just say in general, like the three things I probably did like the most about this. The cinematography is far and away number one. It's a beautiful film. It's shot just so well. Even, he's just walking in a lot of scenes, but it just looks so good, especially the shots from the side more than the over the shoulder. It just, it's gorgeous. It's like looking at this, it's like a place I want to go take a hike, that overlook too. There's like a cliff that's like an overlook. Beautiful. That's number one. Number two, the yoga kill. I think it's fucking phenomenal, and it's viral for all the right reasons. It's so good. That would be two. And number three is probably the ending. I loved it. It made perfect sense to me. A lot of people hate it so much. Actually, people were audibly guffawing and like upset at the end.
Well, that's just dumb people, I guess.
Maybe
because you had to think a little bit, and it was like great acting at the end of the movie.
And I'll say this: I think the best film of the last 20 years, not horror, just period, is No Country for Old Men. And people booed at the end of that movie in the theater, and I fucking loved it.
You know, the first time I seen that, I didn't like it.
No, most people don't.
But just like this movie, as the days went by, without watching it again, it's like, I like this, and I see what the director was trying to do here, and I see what's going on here, and it started to just grow on me. They called this movie slow cinema. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never heard of that. I've heard of, like, you call a movie a slow burn, but I've never heard of a movie called slow cinema. I looked up other examples of it, but I had not seen any of them.
They also called this art house, and that's bullshit. This isn't an art house film.
Yeah, and I know you're more into, like, that side of I like to watch a movie. I like to have fun. I don't know how to, I don't know technical stuff like you do.
That's all right.
So this is not an example of slow cinema to you either, or you?
No, slow cinema. Yeah, I can go with that.
Okay.
I
didn't know what that meant.
And then
my top three things would be basically the same as yours, except for I would just go kills in general for two.
Yeah, that's
because
okay.
I did have one that I liked better. The one that you did like best was you could really appreciate how hard it was to pull something like that off. For sure. So what about the three things you didn't like? Do you want to talk about that as well?
Yeah, we kind of covered that.
We just hit them again real quick just because.
Yeah, number one would be the runtime. It's so padded. It's just too fucking long. And there's not enough story, I mean, yeah, we get the lore, and that's cool, but and number two, actually, we didn't touch on this. I thought the acting, other than maybe two people, was fucking terrible. And that would be the Ranger was pretty good, and then there's a person in a vehicle towards the end of this movie that was pretty good, and all the other acting in this was just not good. And these characters, and that's the thing too, when you're following the killer and not these people, there's no character development.
Yeah, I couldn't even name the people.
Yeah,
I couldn't name the people. I couldn't tell you what they were doing. Yeah. I know two of them were sleeping together. One of them was a guy that they hated for whatever reason, but I don't really know why.
Wow, it's funny that you said that, because now I just saw this thing 6 days ago, and I'm a huge horror movie fan, and I even read more about this movie. I can't even tell you the final girl's name right now.
No, absolutely, I can't.
I don't remember it.
Anybody in the comments know her name?
It doesn't matter.
See, Jeffrey Seddon just jumped in. He says, "What's up, fellas?" Jeffrey Seddon. And then somebody else popped in a little bit ago. I missed it. Okay, it's gone. Maybe I didn't see it. Maybe I said, okay.
And my third and final thing. Talked about this. It's just a lack of tension. There's no tension when we always know where the killer is. It just, he's not just going to pop out of nowhere. Yeah, he pops out, but we know it's going to happen. And
yeah,
now
when we went with JP to see the Melonheads movie, remember what JP said when we were walking out? Yeah. There's a really good movie in there somewhere, but they didn't film it.
I agree.
And we're kind of like that with this. They may have filmed it with this one, but they just didn't. That wasn't it. There's a really good movie there, and I hope it's getting really good critic scores. So I hope that it doesn't deter them from carrying this on to another movie, maybe redoing it a little bit, maybe a sequel. I mean, obviously learn from your mistakes and don't do the things that sucked in this movie.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see more of this character, this killer. I'd like to see a movie with tension. We probably won't, but it'd be kind of cool. Like, I could see this guy becoming, like, just based on his look, based on that hook on a chain weapon that he had, like, I could see him becoming something in the future.
I could. There's a lot of people that really, really enjoyed it. There's a lot of people that really fucking hated it too. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty much totally in the middle.
That's where I am. I just got my Letterboxd app back on my phone to rate movies, and I put it right down the middle.
Yeah,
right down the middle.
So is this a straight C for you then?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, straight C. There's things I really liked about it. There's things I really didn't like about it. I think I will watch it again. I think I'll fast forward to that motherfucker walking. because I know where it is.
When I rewatch it, I'll rewatch it as is again. And
yeah, I'll do that one time just to kind of see.
But right now, I'm a little lower than you.
Okay, usually are.
And the more I think about it, I might be quite a bit lower than you.
Yeah.
As I'm thinking, I know a movie that I rated a straight C on here. I've only done it once. No, I've done it twice. And the first one I did a straight C to was Evil Dead Rise. That movie's certainly better than this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A couple of C minuses I've given out to movies I like. They just fucked up some parts. So I don't think I can go higher than a D plus on this.
D plus. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I don't think I can. Now, when I rewatch this thing, maybe. I don't think I'll ever go lower than that though, because the things I do like about this movie, I really like. There just weren't enough of them, and the things I didn't like outweighed them. That's
Yeah. So, guys, check it out for yourself, man. It's always good to support these smaller horror movies in the theater, and while it's still playing, like let's help this movie make a little bit of money. Help the people that made the movie. They have talent. They definitely have talent, and they could do good things. But we need to support them so they can get to good things.
You know,
and
let me add to that too. Even though I'm grading this a D plus, I still do recommend you go see it.
Absolutely. Just because it's always good to see something different, man. We're always begging, give me something different. Let's not do the Blumhouse, hash this out the same way 8 million times bullshit.
Horror by numbers, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, because that's the thing. Even though I'm low on it, Rick's right down the middle on it, there are a lot of people that really like this movie, and you might be one. So go see it. Yeah,
the critic scores are like 80-90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I can't.
And Zigzag's right about where you are. He goes 4 out of 10, which is about a D plus.
About a D, yeah.
D plus, C minus, teal. Yeah. But well, a lot of times these critics are looking for, they're not looking for the same stuff we are anyway. They like the thing wasn't the thing like killed by critics.
Who cares?
I mean, you know what I mean? And it's one of the greatest films of all time.
I know. That's like, I don't care. Now, nobody, even the people that like this are never going to come out and say that, though. So.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's going to have a life like that later.
I can see this movie getting, like, years and years down the road, maybe a cult following of some sort. I could see that.
But I hope they do more with the character, more with the ideas.
Yeah.
They were still blowing E.T., Zig says. The thing. Yeah. I put the thing up in my top 2-3 movies of all time. It's amazing. Probably it might be not even just for horror movies, just for any movie. That's another movie that should have been nominated for best film, but horror movies don't get that nod unless they're called not horror movies, and they are horror movies. A couple of them got Oscar nominations.
And
I think Jaws got an Oscar nomination. But it wasn't labeled a horror movie.
Yeah. Any kind of horror sci-fi things don't win Oscars unless they steal one from 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. So, and are directed by the overrated Guillermo del Toro. But that's a whole discussion for a whole nother day.
Bill Wolf says, "Well, Zig's rating of movies blows." So there you go, Zig. There you go, Zig.
Here we go. Really buckle up.
But so we gave you an interview with the star of Basketcase. We kept our promise of reviewing this movie. We didn't have our guest from this movie. We're really hoping that that's going to happen next week. She had something. BK must be talking about In a Violent Nature. It was a hard watch. Kills were good. Cut off 30 minutes of walking. Yeah, same.
Well, we just said.
But so yeah, like I said, we kept our promise. We reviewed the movie. I think it went well. I think we did good with that. Kevin was awesome. Kevin, I'm gonna screw his name up. I got it right when he was here. Vanhentenryck.
Mm-hmm.
The guy from freaking Basketcase. Great dude. Great conversation. That was awesome.
Everyone
check out his
check his site out.
Website, kevinvh.com.
.com.
Was that? Is it Kevin Van H?
Was it Kevin Van H or KevinVH.com?
Kevin Van H sounds better to me, actually.
I think it was that, yeah.
But yeah, one or the other.
We'll post it on the page either way.
Yeah, we'll post it on the page, and I will get the info about those guitars he's selling because they sound really cool.
Yeah. Oh, that Gibson really does. I'd love that Gibson, but that's a little above my pay grade right now.
Yeah, you don't even got to ask him how much to know that. Karen, she says Van H. She was paying attention.
I'm not even going to ask how much because I'll begin to rationalize it.
Yeah, I'm going probably $5K. That sound right to you?
Nah, it'd be lower than that, but I'll still try to rationalize it somehow. So.
Do you play it?
Huh?
Do you play it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you had to have some kind of, because you wrote a lot of this shit for the Slim, no?
Not the music.
No? Okay.
No.
I mean, I'm sure you had input on it, though.
A little bit.
But, yeah. But anywho, hour and 18 minutes. I got to go to work. I got to make money. We'll see you guys next week with hopefully our guest that was supposed to be here this week. Thanks, Bill. Hopefully he or she, because it's the worst kept secret in history. Everybody knows who it is, but I still don't want to say because I got a pretty cool bit for it, and I don't want to ruin it. But so we'll see you guys next week on Thursday. And did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, two things. One, remember when we get to 666 followers, I'll be giving away a Part 5 Friday the 13th mask, the old Roy special with the blue chevrons, just like Rick got for his birthday last year. And has appeared on the show several times.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is over your shoulder. And that'll be a screen accurate one, not just one of those little PVC deals. It'll be one of those like $200.
This thing's amazing. It looks just like the movie. It's molded from the same mask. The straps are even right.
Yep, that's one of them like $200 retail price.
Yeah,
masks. I'm giving one of those away. 666 followers. Get us there. You could win a mask. Blah blah blah. And there goes the neighborhood.